You're watching Eastern and Southern Kentucky's #1 source for news. WYMT Mountain News This Morning starts now.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Herron.
And I'm Tanner Hesterberg. Today is Wednesday, January 30th.
We'll check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your weather in just a moment.
And now let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a first look at our forecast today. Brandon?
Well, things pretty active across parts of the south central part of the state. We're not seeing a whole lot here at home just yet, but strong to severe thunderstorms on the way as we go through, and a couple of things we want to hit real quick. Live pinpoint Doppler radar, you can see the showers and storms still off in the distance. They're too substantial just yet. Back over toward Interstate 65, we're seeing a few showers trying to pop up in advance of that. But when you factor in temperatures, they're still very warm this morning, close to 70 right now in Monticello. I'll show you those here in a second. But what I want to show you, this was just issued a few minutes ago. We have a tornado watch out for the western counties, basically back from Moorhead and Round County all the way back down through Lee and Jackson counties, all the way over toward the I-75 corridor and points west. That goes until noon today, so we're going to be watching that to see if it's expanded eastward. But that's the areas right now that could see some of those isolated tornadoes as we go deeper into the morning and the afternoon. I think the main threats from this system are going to be damaging winds and hail, but again, cannot rule out the possibility for an isolated tornado. Temperatures right now still very warm at this hour. 69 Monticello, 66 Somerset, 67 London, 64 Jackson, 66 in Middlesboro, and 61 in Wise. Here's your main threats for today. Again, just like we talked about, damaging winds and hail are the main threats. We're going to be keeping a close eye on those. Strong winds, straight line winds could be an issue with this system. Non-storm winds could be 40 miles an hour or greater. And the breakdown, it looks like at this point, if everything stays on track, between 8 and 9 o'clock, we should see those storms coming into the western half of the area. So again, a situation we're going to be staying on top of throughout the morning. We'll have the rest of your forecast here in just a few minutes.
Some spots of our coverage area experiencing some weather patterns that you need to be concerned about right now. Brandon, let's jump right into it.
We're not seeing them quite yet, but they are on the way. They're off in the distance. Live pinpoint Doppler radar here at 513. We're scanning the skies, and it's pretty active. We've got a squall line, basically a line of showers and storms lined up that's crossing the entire state. And we've had overnight some reports of possibilities for severe weather, at least some damage back out west into parts of Hopkinsville area. Heard about a tractor trailer that had been blown over off of the highway. Maybe some reports out west of some more wind damage. We're trying to get all those reports compiled, give you more information on that. But the line still out west at this point, back out toward I-65. So the timing we talked about yesterday, and we'll talk about here in just a minute, I think will hold for the most part. Picked up just a smidge of speed this morning, but nothing too substantial as we head through. A few showers starting to pop in this morning, especially down south. You see McCreary County and Bell County, seeing a little bit over into Harlan County. But at this point, not too much going on. Now, we do have a tornado watch out for the western counties. That came down just a few minutes ago. That goes until noon, basically from Rowan County all the way back through into Lee and Jackson counties and over toward Rockcastle, Laurel, Whitley, Pulaski, McCreary, and Wayne County. So keep that in mind as we go through the first part of your day. This may be expanded eastward, but we'll wait to see what the folks at the Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center say about that. Temperatures still very, very warm this morning. Warmer than I was hoping it'd be a little cooler at this point, but not the case. 69 right now in Monticello, 66 Somerset, Middlesboro, 67 London, 64 Jackson, and 61 in Wise. Look at Louisville, 70 degrees this morning. So not typical temperatures that you see this time of the year. Something to watch. Look at the spread behind the cold front and in front of the cold front. You see Jackson there, 65, 53 St. Louis on the other side, and 20s and single digits back over toward the plains. Now, we're not going to get quite that cold, but we are going to get a little colder as we go through the next 24 hours. Bus stop forecast, cloudy skies this morning, a few pop-up showers trying to play in there. 60s for the most part for temperatures. Showers and storms as we go into the afternoon hours, right around 50, 52, 54 by the time we get deeper into the day. So one situations, the temperature's going to drop pretty quick on the other side of that, so keep that in mind over the next little bit. Let's talk last 12 hours. This system has roared across parts of several states, but you can see it off in the distance here on the Kentucky picture coming through overnight. It's really kind of been an unbroken line, and it doesn't show any strength or any losing of strength so far, at least. We'll have to wait and see exactly how it plays out when it gets here a little closer to us. Tornado watch boxes out across a big chunk of the area. And on the backside of this, you're even seeing some snow. Again, I think possibilities are there, at least for tonight, that we could see just a little bit of that as we head into time. So again, one of those situations where we're going to be monitoring that very closely. Again, let's talk about the main threats. Primary threats: strong winds, straight line winds could be a big factor. That's 60-mile-an-hour plus. That's ends a storm. Non-storm winds could possibly be 40 miles an hour or greater, and we cannot rule out the chance of an isolated tornado. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that one. Timing breakdown, like we said, between 8 and 9 o'clock, I think is pretty good for the western leading edge there back out toward I-75, and that will be through noon, and then it will continue to progress east as we go deeper into the day with Hazard, Pikeville, you folks, between 11 and 3, at least at this point. Let's talk today. We're talking temperatures that start to slide as we go into the afternoon hours. We start out in the mid to upper 60s this morning, and that will slide into the 50s, maybe even low 50s by this afternoon. Some of those storms could be severe. Winds will be out of the southwest at 15 to 25 again. They could gust 40 miles an hour or higher. That's outside of the storm, so keep that in mind. Wind advisory also in effect for us here across the area today. Tonight, rain and snow showers. We will get down to 29 with a west breeze at 10 to 15. Don't have a 7-day for you right now. We'll have that here in just a few minutes. But again, the situation we'll be monitoring today, keeping you posted as we go through time, so keep it locked right here. Time now, 5:16. You're watching Mountain News This Morning. Bad situation for those folks in Australia with the flooding, and we're watching the possibility for severe weather here at home today. And live pinpoint Doppler radar scanning the skies. Not a whole lot going on at this point. A few spotty showers down south, but the line of showers and thunderstorms moving this general direction, and we're seeing still some tornado warnings going back up out to the west with that. So one we're going to be watching very closely today as it rolls into our area. A few showers down south into parts of Knox County and Bell County this morning, over into Claiborne and Campbell in East Tennessee, and going back up through Harlan and Letcher over into Wise counties in southwest Virginia. So do be careful this morning if you're traveling out and about. Tornado watch in effect for the western counties and the northern counties until noon today. You see all the counties there shaded in the red. Basically, that's the I-75 corridor and portions north all the way up to Moorhead and Rowan County. So keep that in mind. We'll be tracking these again very closely as we head into the morning hour, especially for the late part of the morning commute. Let's talk temperatures this morning. We're seeing temperatures that are close to 70 out west in Monticello, but look at Bowling Green, where the rain's been coming through for quite a while, down to 57. Same thing in Louisville. New updated reading there was 70 a few minutes ago. 66 in Middlesboro, 65 Jackson, 67 London, 68 in Somerset, and 63 Wise. You can see Lexington still at 66, so not quite made it there just yet either. Main threats from this system still, again, should be some wind, some damaging wind. We'll be keeping a very close eye on that as we head through the first part of the day and into the afternoon. Strongest winds, 60 mile an hour plus. That's during a storm. Non-storm winds could be 40 mile an hour plus, and again, we cannot rule out an isolated tornado. Breakdown for the timing should be here right at the end of that morning commute, or if you're going to work, maybe right in the middle of that morning commute. I think the school kids will get off to school on time and in good shape this morning, and before all this mess gets here a little bit later on. So we'll be keeping you posted throughout the day. Time now, 5:25. You're watching Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Herron.
And I'm Tanner Hesterberg. It's Wednesday, the 30th of January.
Let's go ahead and check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning.
Well, if you went outside this morning, you wouldn't believe it's the 30th of January. I rode to work this morning with the windows down, the sunroof open, but not a good sign when we've got the severe weather possibilities on the way. We don't want it to be this warm, but we're going to be watching very carefully, very closely to see what's going on, and we will keep you posted all morning long. But right now, storm's not quite to us just yet. We've gotten reports out of Tennessee and out of western Kentucky of some damage. So again, I think winds are going to be our main factor today. We'll be keeping a very close eye on that, but have to see how that plays out. Better safe than sorry. Just definitely want to stress again that if you don't need to be out today, stay in, make your plans to be in your safe locations, just in case. Again, I think the damaging winds are going to be our main threat here at home, okay? Live pinpoint Doppler radars, we scan the skies. Not too much yet. A few showers down to the south and to the east, back into parts of Bell County and Knox County, over into Harlan County and into Whitley County. This is the advanced part of this system, at least a couple of pop-ups due to some energy floating around due to it being so warm. We also have showers down into Campbell and Claiborne County counties in East Tennessee and over into Wise County in Southwest Virginia. But you see the main line of storms going through parts of central Kentucky now, back into south central Kentucky. Not quite to us just yet. Again, I think as we get deeper into the morning, we'll see those start to progress in here a little better. But we're going to still kind of hold off and see exactly when they get here. I think our time frame we've been talking about is pretty close. I think it's pretty close. It seems like the system sped up just a little bit, but again, we'll be keeping a very close eye on this throughout the day. Let's talk about the tornado watch that's out now until noon for the area shaded in the red. That's basically Rowan County, back down through parts of Jackson and Lee counties, Powell County as well, and then over along the I-75 corridor points west, and this goes again until noon today. So that's the area that's kind of under the greatest possibility for an isolated tornado at this point. But again, we're going to be watching to see how this plays out, and we'll be here with you every step of the way. 65 in Jackson, 66 in Middlesboro, 68 right now Somerset, 67 London, 69 in Monticello, and 63 in Wise. But you can see in the distance there, Louisville and Bowling Green down to 57 where it's been raining for a while. Let's talk about main threats here real quick. We're talking about wind is our biggest player, I think, today with this system. We're going to continue to see thunderstorm winds, 60 mile an hour plus, and then outside the thunderstorms, non-storm winds of 40 mile an hour plus. We're under a wind advisory, and again, can't rule out the isolated tornadoes. There's the timing breakdown for you. May have to update that if this storm picks up a little speed, and it looks like it is just a little bit. But again, I think we're pretty close with that timing. Your full forecast in a few minutes.
Your Bus Stop forecast is sponsored by Big Sandy Heating and Cooling, the king of comfort.
You know, some very serious weather is headed our way. It's not here just quite yet, but, you know, it just went through the Nashville area, western Kentucky area, already hearing reports of 1 dead. So, Brandon, let's just get right to it.
Absolutely. Let's go to live pinpoint Doppler radar because this sucker's picked up some speed in the last little bit. It was trying to track the speed of the system, and now you can see it's right off of our doorstep in Wayne County, down to parts of Adair County, and back out toward Russell County. You see this whole line extending all the way down from parts of central Kentucky all the way in, but right there is Wayne County. So I'm moving up our timetable just a little bit. I think the far western counties will be seeing this here in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So keep that in mind this morning if you're getting ready for school or for work. Again, that's just the back edge of this, and we're going to continue to see this track to the east. We're getting a few showers popping up in advance of this going through the first part of your day this morning. We're going to continue to track that as we go into the first part of the morning before all this big system gets here. This is basically prefrontal showers that are popping up in advance of this. So keep that in mind. That's down into parts of Bell County, Knox County, and Leslie and Harlan counties. Let's talk tornado watch. We've got that out until noon for the counties along the I-75 corridor, basically back from Rowan County all the way down into parts of southern Kentucky. So we'll be keeping those areas under a close watch. We'll see if this is expanded east as we go through the daytime hours because the threat is going to continue for all of us until this afternoon. Temperature-wise, 65 Jackson, 68 Somerset, 69 Monticello, 67 in London, 66 Middlesboro, and 63 in Wise right now. So temperatures are very warm at this hour and very unusual as we go into the first part of your day for a late January day. But you can see where the cold front is behind us. You're seeing that there. Temperatures in the single digits and 20s and teens back out into the Midwest. We're not going to get quite that cold tonight, but we are going to drop on the other side of this frontal boundary later today. Let's talk bus stop forecast. I'm going to be adding here in a second. I didn't have time to update that. The possibility for showers and storms to the west at this point. We're going to see temperatures in the 60s and the possibility for showers and storms, especially for you folks in the east, will continue toward this afternoon. Temperatures will drop close to 50 from west to east as you go through. So some of you folks say Big Sandy area might still be in the 60s at that point because the storms will still be rolling across. But again, we just have to see how fast they're moving. Speed can change a lot with timing and temperature on this. When you see this thing racing across the state overnight, continuing to cause damage out to the west. So again, this is a system we definitely want to be on your guard about, keeping a very close eye on what's going on and keeping your eye to the sky and keeping it locked right here because we're going to be updating you throughout the morning on this thing. We got those tornado watch boxes out all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Basically with this system, it stretches almost to the Canadian border all the way down toward the Gulf of Mexico, so keep that in mind. Primary threats, wind is going to be our big player today. Inside the thunderstorm, strong winds 60 mile an hour plus. Outside the thunderstorm could be 40-mile-an-hour plus. This is non-thunderstorm winds. We are under a wind advisory today. And again, we cannot rule out the possibility for an isolated tornado. I've updated the timing breakdown. I may have to do it again because these storms can pick up a little speed. They can slow down a little bit. So again, now moved it to 7 to 9 for I-75 corridor and Hazard East from 10 until 1. And again, this may change a little bit. It's fluid right now, no pun intended, to see exactly how it's going to move. So again, as we get that information in, we'll update that timing breakdown. But for right now, moving that up just a couple of hours because it's knocking on our door down in parts of southern Kentucky. Showers and storms, some of those could be severe. 66 today. During the morning hours, we dropped close to 50 by the afternoon. Southwest breeze 15 to 25. That's a constant breeze. You factor in gusts, can be higher than that. Rain and possibly some snow showers later on tonight. Cloudy skies 29. Not expecting accumulation. We're looking for the west winds at 10 to 15. It's still going to be a stout day. Next couple of days on the 7-day forecast, we're looking at a small chance tomorrow early for a passing shower. I think most of this moves out, but the 40% is for snow showers tomorrow night as another weak system tries to move through here. It could bring us some light accumulations. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on that. 34 tomorrow, though 22 on Friday with lots of sunshine. Complete 7-day forecast for your weekend is always in view. We're looking at dry conditions after that, so we just have to get through today and tomorrow, and then we've got a little bit of a break coming as we go through. Okay, let me see. I just got word. We got a warning. Let me see what that warning is before we go over here. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to take you back to live pinpoint Doppler radar. That's for Pulaski and Wayne counties, that same area we were just talking about, and that goes until 6:30. Severe thunderstorm warning for Pulaski and Wayne counties until 6:30. Then back up here to Doppler, and I'll kind of show you that's the same area we were just highlighting there a moment ago for the bottom edge of that system. So again, we're going to track that. Actually, we'll track that for you here in just a minute. The computer locked up on me. But again, severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30 for Pulaski and Wayne County. So guys, this is a system that we're going to have to continue to track throughout the morning because the timing's moved up a little bit on it. We're seeing it now coming in a little earlier than expected. Not a good time of the day because kids are getting ready to go to school. People are getting ready to go to work. So we'll be keeping an eye on delays and cancellations too. And we'll try to put those up for you as soon as we get those, if we get those.
Okay.
Let's go over now to lottery numbers. Don't forget Friday night's Mega Millions jackpot, $13 million. And tonight's Powerball jackpot, $151 million. Time 5:46. You're watching Mountain News This Morning. Well, as I suspected they might do, the folks at the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center have extended the tornado watch. Let's go to live pinpoint Doppler radar, scanning the skies this morning. This system's picking up some real speed, so we're going to continue to watch that as we go through the first part of your day. Just off of the doorstep there of Wayne County, Pulaski County, and because of that, that severe thunderstorm warning we were talking about going till 6:30 for those two counties, Pulaski and Wayne, is confirmed. We were having some issues with it, a couple of different National Weather Service offices overlapping a little bit, but we got that there. Severe thunderstorm warning for Pulaski and Wayne counties until 6:30. So again, goes out for a little while, not quite to those areas just yet, but moving toward that general direction. Let's talk tornado watch. That's again for the entire area and now goes until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So keep that in mind as we go through the first part of your day. We're going to continue to see this be a factor. This also expands into southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, and southern West Virginia as well. So all of us under the gun until at least 1 o'clock with this watch. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on this at this point. So again, as developments come in here, we'll pass those along to you. Very busy morning here in the Weather Center. Guys.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Herron.
And I'm Tanner Hesterberg. Today is Wednesday, January 30th.
Let's go ahead and check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning.
Well, we're getting some conflicting information this morning about some things going on, so we're going to hold off on announcing any new warnings at this point until we get them confirmed through the National Weather Service. I believe we have two offices overlapping, what might be a problem this morning, so we're trying to get all that sorted out. But let's go to live pinpoint Doppler radar. We are tracking a system that's been kind of a booger this morning to track. It's been picking up speed. It's been losing speed a little bit at times overnight, so it's just going to be one of those we have to ride herd on this morning. We do have outside the area, back into parts of southern Kentucky, a tornado warning for some counties outside of our area, Adair and Russell County. So you folks in Pulaski and Wayne counties, this system is moving that direction, so we'll be keeping an eye on you folks for the next little bit. Tornado watch was just extended a few minutes ago for the entire area until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Everybody, even including our surrounding states, so keep that in mind as you go through the day. It means the atmosphere could be favorable for development of isolated tornadoes. Let me stress that, isolated tornadoes, but wind is going to be a big factor for us as we go through the first part of your day. Let's talk about some of those threats. We're looking again at the possibility for damaging winds across much of the area. We're looking at the possibility of those being 60 mile an hour plus when you're inside the storms. Non-storm winds, 40 mile an hour plus. That's just right now. You could be seeing 40 mile an hour wind gusts at this moment, even if you're not seeing any rain. Isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out. And again, this timing breakdown's been a nightmare to try to stay with this morning. But again, just keep it locked right here, and we'll keep you posted throughout the morning hours. Full forecast in just a little bit.
We've got Brandon working triple, quadruple overtime. A lot happening right now. Brandon, fill us in on it.
Yeah, it's getting busy over here in the Weather Center. Let's go to live pinpoint Doppler radar, see what's going on this morning as we head out the door. We're going to continue to see things stay very active just off to the west of us. You see back into parts, now the leading edge into Wayne County and back down into Pulaski County. Severe thunderstorm warning out for those two counties until 6:30, might be 6:35. Let me double check here and see what we have going on here. Yes, till 6:30 this morning, 6:30 actually. So that whole line now starting to move toward this area as we progress through the day. Last few minutes, the tornado watch was expanded to include the entire area as we go through into the rest of the day, and that goes until 1 o'clock now instead of noon, and that includes our neighbors in southern West Virginia, southwest Virginia, and East Tennessee as we head out the door this morning. So keep that in mind. We do have 2 school closings. You can see those on the bottom of your screen probably in advance of this system. I would say that's the case. Laurel County Schools and East Bernstadt Independent Schools closed today, and if we get any more closings in, we will keep you posted as we go through the first little bit of the newscast here, and we'll keep them there on the bottom of the screen and on WYMT.com. Again, I expect maybe a few more start coming in here once the system gets a little closer. Let's talk about temperatures. They are still up at this point across much of eastern Kentucky. We're seeing temperatures that are in the 60s area-wide, 69 Monticello, 68 Somerset, 67 London, and continues to progress across the state into the mid-60s and low 60s all the way through. Temperatures behind the cold front, though, are a bit colder. You see single digits, you see teens and 20s. We're not going to get quite that cold, but we will drop in temperatures quite a bit over the next several days. Now let's talk bus stop forecast this morning. Again, trying to update this. Haven't been doing 10 different things, but we'll get you covered here in just a minute. Possibility for showers and storms over in the western parts of the area, so keep that in mind. The rest of us should be cloudy for the first part of your day. Low to mid 60s, upper 60s for temperatures. Shower and storm chances are there for all of us this afternoon. The temperatures will start to drop as we go deeper into the day. Now let's talk the last 12 hours, where it's been fairly active across the area. We're seeing a little bit of everything back out to the west. We're getting reports of damage. We're getting reports of fatality down in Tennessee. This is just a nasty system, one we're going to continue to track very closely and keep you posted as we get more information in here, trying to gather that still this morning. Watch boxes out across the area. You see the new one just added there across parts of eastern Kentucky, far eastern Kentucky. So again, we're going to continue to be kind of under the gun throughout parts of the day before things start to wrap up later on tonight. Strong winds is our main threat, damaging winds. We could see winds inside a thunderstorm 60 plus miles an hour with the gust. We could see non-thunderstorm winds up to 40 miles an hour with gusts. We could see also possibility for isolated tornadoes. Can't rule that out. Timing breakdown, it's sped up a little bit, so I'm going to have to adjust this again here in the next few minutes. But again, the western counties back out toward I-75. 7 o'clock, I think, is a pretty good bet. May have to adjust it for the inner counties, maybe just a little bit. But again, we're doing okay with that as we head through the first part of your day. Showers and storms, some of those could be severe. Temperatures start out in the 60s. The mid to upper 60s drop to close to 50 this afternoon. Could even see a few snowflakes tonight. Rain and snow showers a possibility. Otherwise, cloudy skies down to 29. The winds continue to be stout tonight. Tomorrow, we finally start to clear up a little bit during the day, but tomorrow night, the possibility for a system tracking in here that could bring us some more snow, maybe some light accumulations. That's why we have that 40% chance there. A complete 7-day forecast where your weekend is always in view. Temperatures fluctuate, but pretty chilly on Friday under sunshine, but we dry out for a few days going into the first of next week. The time now 6:16. You're watching Mountain News This Morning. New warning just coming down just a minute ago. Severe thunderstorm warning for basically that whole I-75 corridor this morning. That goes for Laurel, McCreary, Pulaski, Rockcastle, Wayne, and Whitley counties until 7:15 this morning. Again, that's for Laurel, McCreary, Pulaski, Rockcastle, Wayne, and Whitley counties. Severe thunderstorm warning until 7:15. I've got some tornado warnings up to our north, back up toward Madison County, and back out west a little bit. So again, we're keeping a very close eye on this squall line, and if we get any more warnings, we will pass those along to you. Tornado watch is in effect for the entire area, all of us, including our surrounding states, until 1 o'clock this afternoon. You see all the counties highlighted there in the red. Again, we're going to be watching the possibility for an isolated tornado, chance at least. Not saying we're going to have one, but the possibility for an isolated tornado is there as we head through the first part of your day. I think our timeline actually will hold this time. I think the I-75 corridor between 7 and 9 is pretty good, and beyond that, going into Hazard and beyond, right around 10 to 1 o'clock this afternoon. So keep that in mind. Strong winds are primary threat, 60 mile an hour plus inside of those thunderstorms, and outside 40 mile an hour plus gust. But again, we are all under a wind advisory until further notice. 6:25 is your time. We're keeping track of the skies here on Mountain News this morning. Well, folks, we've been waiting all morning. We've got our first one. Tornado warning this morning. Let's go right to live pinpoint Doppler radar here at 6:29. Scan the skies. This big system of storms we've been tracking, a squall line is what we call it, basically across the whole area. But we have our first tornado warning. That is for Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties until 7 o'clock. So let me get you zoomed in here. This system not to those areas just yet, but moving toward those areas. Let me get zoomed in here. Computer's running a little bit slow this morning. We'll get you down to the areas. Now, again, if you're in these areas, this includes Somerset. You guys are kind of right there on the edge of this system, so this is the area that's going to be affected the closest to time right now, and back toward London and over back in two parts of Mount Vernon, Rockcastle County, those areas. Keep that in mind. Let me get zoomed in here and we'll get you up to date. But again, tornado warning for Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties until 7 o'clock this morning. Basically, this system is tracked across the state all night long, and it's continued to cause problems for folks to the west and into the south, into parts of Tennessee this morning. This system right now looks to be, let's see here, moving northeast at 60 miles an hour, so moving at a pretty good clip. So you folks, especially in Laurel County, will be dealing with this here in the next little bit. National Weather Service Doppler indicating basically, possibly, let me stress that, radar indicated maybe a brief tornado, possible. It's not confirmed. We do not have any reports of any of that on the ground, so we're going to be watching that at this point, but the possibility for a tornado, at least indicated by radar. Again, if you're just joining us this morning, new tornado warning just went out for Laurel, Pulaski, and into Rockcastle counties until 7 o'clock this morning. And again, still trying to get zoomed in here to kind of give you an idea, but having some computer problems this morning. But basically, you folks along I-75, if you're traveling that direction this morning, that's the area you want to watch, because this system is moving fast. So if you have folks that might be traveling there along the interstate, let them know, there we go, that this system is coming toward them. Again, we do not, let me stress that, have any reports of any tornadoes on the ground at this point. This is just Doppler radar indicated. So we're going to be watching this. Somerset, this system moving over you right now. So anybody along US 27, we're going to continue to watch this here for the next several minutes, because it's just going to be a system that's moving fast. So keep that in mind as we head through the first part of your day. It's just a bad situation. We already had some school closings out that way, so that's some good news, and we're going to watch this one very closely over the next few minutes. Again, if you're just joining us, tornado warning for Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties until 7 a.m., and that's just those three areas right there along the interstate, so keep that in mind. No tornado being reported on the ground at this point. Let me get back in here and zoom in a little closer and show you what areas will be affected. And this is moving off to the northeast. So you folks in London, right there might be a little bit on the edge of this, but regardless, if you're in London, you need to be getting to your safe place right now. If you're down toward the Laurel County side of Corbin, you need to be getting in your safe place right now. And you folks back up toward Mount Vernon and Rockcastle County, Somerset, it's coming right through your area right now. You should be in your safe place. See how fast this is moving? It literally, in one scan, they're moved again right past Somerset. So it's moving at a quick clip to the northeast at 60 miles an hour. So keep that in mind this morning as we progress through the first part of the bad time of the day to have this, because we're seeing this right in the middle of the morning commute. Folks going to school, folks going to work. So this is an area that's very heavily traveled, a lot of traffic this morning, especially down toward folks trying to get back and going to school. Laurel County schools are already closed this morning in East Bernstein Independent, so that's some good news. Haven't heard anything about anybody else at this point. We'll keep you posted on that. But again, you need to be in your safe spot right now. If you're back over into parts of western Laurel County, if you're along Highway 80 right there, you see it between London and Somerset at this point. You need to get off of the roads, get into a safe spot. If you can hear my voice, or if you can get a hold of somebody that may be traveling those areas this morning, that's where you need to be. If you're up toward Mount Vernon, if you're going north on I-75, maybe heading toward Lexington, there's also tornado warnings in central Kentucky this morning. We're going to continue to monitor those two, because those could clip some of our northern counties. But right there, the bulk of this system traveling just to the east of Somerset this morning. Burnside, you're kind of on the back end of this, the worst of it anyway. You see right there indicated by the darker reds and oranges as we go through the first part of your morning there, that again, just a system that has moved across a big chunk of real estate out to the west. A lot of wind damage. I think that's still the bulk of what we're going to see today, is the possibility for wind damage. But at this point, National Weather Service seeing enough over in the office in Jackson to issue that warning. And again, if you're just joining us, tornado warning for Pulaski, Rockcastle, and Laurel counties until 7 o'clock. So again, no confirmed tornadoes on the ground, but a horrible time of the day for this to be happening, because we're seeing a lot of folks getting ready already on the roads. So if you can get word to anybody, especially east of this, maybe on 192, you see right there, east of Somerset rather, and back up toward I-75 and Highway 80, please let them know Howard Rogers Parkway. Let them know they need to try to find some shelter at this point. This system traveling off to the northeast, 60 miles an hour. So you folks back over toward London, back over eventually maybe toward Jackson County, Rockcastle County, Livingston. You see that off in the distance there. That's where the system will be traveling in the next little bit. Again, pulling off on the northeasterly direction at a fast clip. So you don't have a whole lot of time. You need to be getting into your safe spot right now. You need to be getting into those areas, getting there and staying there until this warning is over. Again, just takes a little bit of rotation for these warnings to be issued. So we're keeping a very close eye on these storms to kind of show you what to expect over the next little bit. You folks in western Pulaski County, the worst of this is past you. So this is basically for the central part of Pulaski County, the eastern part of Pulaski County, and going back over toward Rockcastle County in the northwestern corner of Laurel County, including the city of London. So again, you folks need to be in a safe place right now. I need to be getting into a basement, an area without windows, the lowest level of your house, a small bathroom if you have that, under a sturdy object, just doing all those areas. If you're in a mobile home and you have a way to get to a safer shelter, you need to be doing that right now, especially for you folks in the east. Again, we do not have a confirmed tornado on the ground, but we do have radar indicating the possibility of maybe a rain-wrapped tornado. So again, we're going to see this being a possibility and not an actuality at this point. So again, cannot stress enough, this is a very busy time of day, and not a lot of folks already on the roads, a lot of folks getting ready to go. Good news is school canceled there in Laurel County this morning, so we're continuing to see some of these school closings come in. We'll get those to you as we get that information in. But this is the first warning we've had of the day, and the first area of concern that we've seen so far. Again, there have been tornado warnings up toward Madison County, but those are out of our area for right now, so we're going to focus on this. We also had a severe thunderstorm warning out for several counties. That went until about 7:15 this morning, so that's also in effect for those areas. But let me go down kind of a little bit closer here into this system and kind of show you. It's moving so fast, by the time I get locked in, it'll probably have moved at some point. So you see Sugar Hill right there. You folks are in the middle of this right now, basically for the most part past the city of Somerset, but Ferguson, Meese down that way, Whetstone, Squibb, Lunar, all those areas. You're going to be seeing this here in the next little bit. Also back up toward, let's see here if I can pull my map up here just a little bit, back up toward the Rockcastle County line. You see Mount Vernon off in the distance up there behind the banner. Van Hook, lunar. We've got that going on this morning. We appreciate that. We're going to continue to see all of these systems that start to continue to roll off to the northeast. It's been a busy night to our west. We've seen reports of wind damage. We've seen reports of pretty bad damage into parts of Tennessee. I'm not saying we're going to see that, but as we talked about for the last day or so, the main threat with this one has always been the wind. So we're probably seeing some pretty good gusts with this system down into parts of Laurel County, into Rockcastle County and Pulaski County as well. Get just a quick drink there. All right, let's go back in a little closer. Basically, right here is the area I'm most concerned with. You folks back towards Stab and Van Hook, all this in Pulaski County. Drum, you're probably seeing that right now. Wellborn, Van Hook, you guys need to be in your safe spot right now. You need to be getting into your shelters at this point. We're going to continue to track this system as it moves very, very fast. It's moving in a pretty good clip. And in some ways, that's good because it'll clear areas faster. In some ways, that may be not so good because it'll affect more areas quicker. So again, a very bad time of the day to be seeing this as we go out the door this morning. But again, we're tracking this live with you, and we will be tracking it to the end. If more warnings are issued, we will stay with you through those as well. Okay, if we can, in master control, can we switch over to the other computer real quick? If we can, I'll show you these tips here. Again, we mentioned some of them, but basically, if you're in these areas, go to a basement, lowest point of your home, interior hallway or room, stay away from windows, and try to abandon those mobile homes as quickly as possible because, again, it's just very lightweight for the most part and not a lot of area to try to get to move. Basically, they'll move very easily. That's what I'm trying to say there. So you need to get to a safer, more permanent structure as we go through the first part of your day as these warnings continue to issue. And anytime you have a warning like this. So Somerset, you're in the clear. You're behind this system. The good news is moving very fast. Trying to see if we have any reports here. Okay, the National Weather Service, the warning continued till 7 a.m., so they're going to let it go. Continue it. Basically, capable of producing damaging straight-line winds and brief rain-wrapped tornadoes. Again, these are possibilities. We do not have a confirmed report of any tornado. Basically, this storm right now located near the Ruth community and moving east, slowed down a little bit. See, this system is moving. It's kind of wobbly, so that's why we kind of got to watch it. Moving now off to the east at 40 miles an hour. So it's not only slowed down, and it's also changed direction a little bit. So now moving more in an easterly direction. So you folks in London, especially, now under the gun. Also an area right there to the west of that, back off toward East Bernstadt in some areas. Those are areas that also need to be in your safe spot right now. Everywhere, anywhere along I-75 right there, need to be in a safe spot. If you know anybody traveling, please call them, get them off the road, get them off at an exit to a safe location as we head out this morning because, again, just a bad situation as we travel through the first part of your day. And it's hard to believe that we're having tornado warnings in late January, but as we've seen in the last 12 months, a lot of things are possible. So again, we're going to watch this. If you can take some comfort in knowing, at least at this point, that there has never been a confirmed tornado in the month of January. So hopefully that trend will continue in the Jackson National Weather Service office area. So hopefully we don't see anything from this, but if we have to, maybe just a little bit of that wind. So we'll keep a close tab on that. We do not have any damage reports coming in. Let's see here. Also have some new see if we have any new information coming in here. Okay, checking some things coming in this morning. Don't have too much at this point. Okay, so basically, let's recap here. If you're just joining us, tornado warning in effect for Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties until 7 o'clock this morning. And basically, we do not, let me stress that again, do not have any confirmed reports of tornadoes on the ground. We're just getting this possibility there by Doppler radar. So everybody along the I-75 corridor need to get to safety now. Anybody in Rockcastle County, southern Rockcastle County, back toward Livingston, and south of Mount Vernon need to get to a safe place at this point and continue to stay there until this threat passes. Again, the city of Somerset, you are behind this. You're behind this system. We're going to continue to see things stay in advance of you, in front of you at this point. So no issues there so far this morning. We haven't got any reports out of there, so hopefully they were able to make it through without any damage. New severe thunderstorm warning now just coming in for Jackson, Lee, Owsley, Powell, Rockcastle, and Wolfe counties, and that goes until 7:30 this morning. We're going to continue to track these systems well across the area and to see this system be a big issue for us. It's a big squall line, which is basically these storms running all the way from one end of Kentucky to the other. So it's going to be an issue for a lot of folks for a large amount of time. So keep that in mind as we travel through the first part of your day. Now back over, you folks into western Laurel County, London, there it goes, the new loop coming through the new scan. We're seeing that getting closer to the Laurel County line. So if you're in Laurel County, you need to be getting into your safe spot right now. That includes you folks down toward Corbin as well. Anybody along Interstate 75, US 25, 192, this is the time. Hal Rogers Parkway to get in your safe spot. Again, lowest point of your home, go to a basement, interior hallway or room, stay away from windows, and abandon those mobile homes as we go through the first part of your day here. Again, just a bad situation. Being joined now actually by, he's not made his official debut yet, but he's joining us today. Actually, tomorrow is his first day, but our new weekend meteorologist, Shane Smith, joining us. We start weekend news on Saturday. He's joining us now here. And he's going to help us a little bit with the coverage. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, Brandon. Quite a way to make it. The view got a very strong squall line working through southern Kentucky as we speak. Multiple tornado warnings out, especially looking down there right in my stopping ground of London, Kentucky. That's where I'm actually from. Tornado warning for Pulaski County and Laurel County. That's expiring in about 30 minutes. And you can see whenever you get on the radar, those bowing segments where it looks almost like a bow and arrow.
Exactly.
That is an indicator of some very strong winds. And my area that I'm really focused on is just south of Mount Vernon. You see where that little notch is going back?
Do you see that?
That is usually a good indication that there is some kind of rotation going on in the atmosphere, and that would be an area of concern looking for the potential of a tornado. So up there in the southern end of Rockcastle County, need to be on the lookout for that as well.
Exactly. And like we said earlier, we've gotten the reports of a possibility of some rain wrap, but again, that does not mean that we have a tornado on the ground. Doppler radar indicating rotation, which possibly indicates the potential for an isolated tornado. But again, we do not have any confirmed reports at this point. Just that warning there, and like Shane said, that area right there in Rockcastle County, an area of concern, and also a very busy travel time. So a lot of folks traveling all the way from basically Lexington down to the border on I-75. Not a good situation. But again, we have 2 school closings that we know about. Laurel County closed, and East Bernstein Independent is closed. So that's some good news. Won't have school kids out and about there. I don't know if we have any more closings. We'll keep SnowGo handy, and if we do, we'll show you those on the bottom of your screen. You can also check WYMT.com. But again, right now we're tracking this system. This goes until 7 o'clock this morning anyway, the tornado warning for parts of Rockcastle County, for Pulaski County, and for Laurel County. Now, again, like I said, you folks in Somerset, it's past you. You folks in Mount Vernon, it's on top of you right now. London, Corbin, those areas, those are the areas you need to be really getting ready, getting in your safe spots. Williamsburg, Stearns, down into McCreary County, all this is to the west of you right now. And this system, it's picked up speed at times and it's slowed down at times. So a system we're definitely going to continue to watch through the first part of your day today. But again, this morning comes a very busy time, a very busy area of the state. So we're going to continue to track this very closely. But so far, we have not gotten any reports of damage. We've gotten reports of damage out of western Kentucky. So we know that this system has had the potential to have damage with it as we went through parts of the last little bit. So we're going to continue to track this for you very closely. Again, and now 6:46, so this morning goes for about 14 more minutes for this area right here. And as Shane mentioned, you definitely want to focus on some of these areas because, like he said, when you've got that notching, we've seen this before, and storms that have moved through here, definitely a good indicator that we could be seeing some pretty stout winds.
And Brandon, one of the things to point out, this is going to be a very different setup than what we saw back in March 2nd of last year. With this kind of setup, it's not the giant long-lived tornadoes. It's usually small little weaker spin-ups. Exactly. But even if you get a small little EF1, EF2 tornado, that can do a small amount of damage in a small area. So 70 mile per hour winds is 70 mile per hour winds.
Exactly.
And that's also something to be aware of with these severe thunderstorm warnings, as even though there may not be a rotation, a straight line 70-mile-per-hour wind can do a lot of damage to roofing, to trees, can also potentially roll mobile homes. So you folks need to be into sturdy shelters if this line of storms is approaching, and it is crossing the I-75 corridor as we speak.
Getting closer to Mount Vernon right there and Rock Castle on the northern end. We go down south just a little bit, back in, closing in on the Laurel County line. You folks in Livingston need to be getting into your safe spot if you're not there already. If you're in the sound of my voice in Laurel County and Whitley County, the Whitley County under the warning, but you folks still, this is a very dangerous storm. We want to get you to shelter. We want to get you to a safe spot as quickly as we can. And again, this line, there it goes, picking up speed a little more. It looks like, again, back up to probably close to 60 miles an hour as we head through the first part. But again, it's just a very fast-moving storm, and in some ways that might be helpful if we get it past these areas quicker and get it on out of here. But again, like Shane said, a 70-mile-an-hour wind is a 70-mile-an-hour wind, so we definitely want to get you to a safe location and not dealing with being out and about in the situation. A lot of folks are trying to go to work, a lot of folks are trying to go to school, but at this point, you definitely want to hunker down and stay as safe as you can until this passes, because we're going to continue to see this be an issue for us for the next little bit. All right, Mount Vernon, you're almost in the clear. It's almost past you in Rock Castle County. Livingston closing in on you. I-75 corridor there. We're going to continue to see this, tracking this general direction. Go down south just to the northwest of London at this point, almost to the northern half of the 75 split right there between Rock Castle and Laurel County. So again, if you're on the Howard Rogers Parkway, if you live along the Howard Rogers Parkway in Laurel County, if you live along 192 in Laurel County, if you live close to Interstate 75, if you live back up toward Jackson County, you want to be getting into that safe spot right now. Let's switch over again real quick, show you the tips. We have go to a basement or lowest point of your home, interior hallway or room, stay away from windows and abandon those mobile homes. Find you the closest permanent shelter that you can. And Shane, I know a lot of folks, I've had a lot of Facebook messages this morning that we've tried to get to, but a lot of folks are very nervous about this because of what happened in this same area last year.
Right, and with that, it's a completely different setup than what we saw last year on March 2nd. Yes, folks do need to take shelter, but it's this kind of storm system will not produce those very strong, long-lived tornadoes. These are going to be very isolated if we do see any. But even away from the tornado warnings, the straight line winds could definitely cause some minor damage.
Right.
It would be it would not surprise me any to see some tree limbs knocked down, maybe some shingles blown off some houses. The good news is where you are in the very early morning hours. So there's not as much energy in the atmosphere for these storms to feed off of. So say this happened in the afternoon, it'd be a much more worrying scenario. But still, definitely a high impact time right now because a lot of folks heading out to work. You got all those kids heading out to school. My area of concern right now, definitely up there in the southern end of Rock Castle County, northern Laurel and western Laurel County, and down into Whitley and McCreary County, places that will be affected. Highway 27, Highway 80, all the way down to I-75. And you can see, even with those darker reds, that's a lot of heavy rain. There's probably some lightning and maybe a little small hail embedded with these. So it would it's something that would definitely impact your commute as you head on out to work, to school. Maybe running some errands this morning. This is one of those cases to where, out in far into eastern Kentucky, if you have to be out, go ahead and get out now before these storms come through. If you're around the I-75 corridor, you need to go ahead and be seeking shelter.
Exactly, and a lot of these same areas here, what you're seeing here now, you'll be seeing to the west as we go through to the east as we go into the afternoon hours. So like Shane said, you're getting kind of a preview of what you had here this morning. All right, we got a new storm report coming in. Shane, what you got there?
Yeah, we got a thunderstorm wind gust out of Somerset of 60 miles per hour. So, 65 miles per hour. So these are definitely producing some strong winds, these thunderstorms are, and these are moving off to the east at a rapid pace. So folks in Laurel County, down into Whitley County and all the way up towards Jackson County now. Also need to be on the lookout as these thunderstorms are heading your way here in the next little bit.
Absolutely. And we've also got this complex that continues all the way up through the state. So there is no area that's not going to be affected by storms at some point today. A lot of folks asking me about specific areas, especially in the Big Sandy. All of us will be seeing this storm system. We're going to continue to watch this be a factor for us all the way into the afternoon hours, because think about this. In order to have instability, you have to have a little bit of warmth, a little bit of heat. And we're still seeing that in the east, not as much in the west now, because the rain-cooled air is going to knock down some of that, which is going to help us out a little bit behind this. And just going to be a rain-making day for a lot of folks back off to the west now. But again, we're still going to see these warmer temperatures in the east, and right now, for instance, Jackson is still at 66. London, where it's not hit yet, at 67. Behind that, temperatures out west and Bowling Green and back out toward Louisville, 54 and 55. So again, you're going to see that cool off, which is going to help stabilize the atmosphere a little bit. But we have got a lot of warm air. Look at Middlesboro, just saw that 70. So again, we've got a lot of day to cover, a lot of ground to go before we are done with the threat completely. But Shane said, and we've talked about this, Jimmy talked about this last night, talked about this earlier this morning, your biggest threat with this one is going to be the possibility for damaging wind. So again, keep that in mind. Hunker down. We'll get past this here. Hopefully the next little bit. It's moving very quickly. It was moving at one point at 60 miles an hour, now down to 40 and maybe back up to 60. So again, Shane, do we have a new warning?
We are checking that right now. No new warning. Yeah, that's still the same warning for Laurel County. Actually, it's been expanded now into Jackson County, Owsley County, Clay County, and Rockcastle County. That's going to go until 7:30, so we got about 40 minutes on that. So the Weather Service just continuing to push those thunderstorm warnings eastward as this line of storms continues to move off to the east. So, and like Brandon said, this is something that everyone is going to have to deal with at some point this morning. And you know, folks here in Hazard probably thinking, oh, it's not doing that much. We got some gusty winds and a little light rain out there right now. But these storms are heading our way. They'll be here in about an hour to an hour and a half, and eventually they'll work their way over into the Big Sandy Valley in about 2 to 3 hours. So even though you're not dealing with these storms right now, this is something you will want to be aware of. And for our friends over right along the I-75 corridor into Laurel County, back into Whitley, Knox County, good news, just from the Weather Service, they have expired the tornado warning for Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle County. And as we look at the radar, zoom back in, we are not seeing that little notch.
No.
And that's usually a good sign. That indicates that we're going back to more of a straight line wind event than a possible tornado and any kind of rotation in the storm. But that is something we will continue to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And again, this whole system, not even quite to London yet, but the good news is that, and I guess you could say good news, we're seeing more severe thunderstorm warnings than we are tornado warnings. And although we don't want to see severe thunderstorm warnings, we would rather see those because we know, again, we can focus on the wind. We can focus on the fact that it's less dangerous. Not saying that it's not dangerous, but it's less dangerous than the possibility if you have a brief spin-up tornado. We never had any confirmed reports of those on the ground. So again, what it looks like at this point, for now, I'm not trying to tell you to let your guard down by any means, because we're not done with this system by any shape of the imagination. But again, at this point, especially some of these more heavily populated areas are getting a little bit more behind this and getting a little bit calmer as we go through. Again, wind's still going to be an issue. We had that big gust out of Somerset, 65-mile-an-hour wind gust, and if you have that, you're going to continue to see the possibility for a little bit of a mess going through. I tell you what, let's take a break real quick. We got a little bit of mountain news this morning left, and we'll come back and recap and close you out this morning. So I'm going to get zoomed in here, and basically we'll follow this one as well this morning. That'd be right about there. There's Owingsville. So right there is the one we've got going through Powell County. So you folks over in Wolfe County and Morgan County, not under a tornado warning just yet, but it's moving generally in your direction. Basically, this system right now moving off to the northeast rather, at 65 miles an hour. So a better chance of it affecting maybe the northern tip of Wolfe County and western Morgan County and up into parts of Rowan County for sure. So again, we will track this one here for you, but just coming in here till 7:45 for Powell County. Basically, this is back up toward Natural Bridge, towards Stanton along the Mountain Parkway. So if you're traveling west from Campton this morning on the Mountain Parkway, you're going to run right into this end of the storm. So keep that in mind this morning. Not into Wolfe County just yet, Shane.
And with the path the storm is heading, folks, on 460 heading from West Liberty over to Jeffersonville over to Mount Sterling also need to be on the lookout, because I know that's a major thoroughfare through those counties, and that area will be in the path of the storm momentarily here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So Mountain Parkway, 460, any east to west running roads up in that neck of the woods need to be on the lookout, because you're going to run into some major travel problems with not only the potential for that tornado, but also strong gusty winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, heavy rain, and maybe even just a little bit of small hail. Absolutely.
We were talking about the possibility for these winds yesterday and early this morning. We've already had some reports of wind damage out of Lee County and out of Rockcastle County, rather. So again, we know this system has produced wind gusts of up to 65 miles an hour or more. We know this system has done damage in other areas. We know that it's a very stout system, a very big weather maker. So again, that's why we're on the air for you here with the Powell County warning, because that could move over into parts of several of our eastern Kentucky counties, and that's a big travel area, especially early this morning. Folks may be going back and forth to Lexington or back over into Winchester, and even coming from those areas trying to get back home this morning. So if you know anybody that's traveling along the Mountain Parkway 460, call them, let them know, hey, pull over, find you a safe spot, get into a gas station or a home or anywhere you can get to that's safe right there in those areas. Also, if you're coming from Lexington, just hold tight for a little bit. Maybe sit on the other side of this. You've seen this system go by you already. We do not have any damage reports at this point, and we also do not have any reports of a confirmed tornado. This is just Doppler radar indicated possible tornado, and the good news is so far we're not seeing the notching we were seeing with the one down into parts of southern Kentucky and southeastern Kentucky a little earlier. We do have new severe thunderstorm warnings. Is that what that is, or one expired?
That one just expired for Laurel, McCreary, Pulaski, Rockcastle, Wayne, and Whitley County. So some good news down along the I-75 corridor. This line of storms is beginning to pass on through, and we are now going to see those warnings get pushed a little bit farther off to the east, although that line is not looking as impressive as it was about an hour ago. So that's a little bit of good news. That means the storms probably aren't going to be quite as strong as they were earlier. But even with that being said, you could still see some wind gusts pushing 50, 60 miles per hour. In fact, we actually just had a report out of Pike County, not even with a storm, of wind gusts pushing 50 miles per hour. So there is some very strong winds with this line of storms as they are moving in, and even ahead of the line of storms.
And right there, I zoomed out to give you an indication. Right here, you see the main line stretching basically from the Ohio River down to the Tennessee border, and see how far that is from Pike County. We talked about this, that you're going to see those gusts. You're going to see that stout wind well in advance of this. That's why we're under a wind advisory through much of today as well. So keep that in mind. We're going to continue to watch this line, but as Shane said, it looks like at this point it is starting to weaken some. This is not a time for you to let your guard down, because you hit a pocket of instability. Some warmer air, it could re-strengthen. Not saying that it's going to, but the possibility is there. So until we get this line cleared and we get our temperatures cooler, getting behind closer to that cold front behind it, keep your guard up, because we still got that tornado watch out for the entire area until 1 o'clock this afternoon. But right now I'm going to zoom right back in here to these areas here along the Mountain Parkway. And again, we're going on for Powell County because it's a big travel area, plus it is an area that could be, it could affect a large area in our northern counties back up toward Moorhead and West Liberty, and maybe even into Wolfe
Frenchburg, another town
Menifee
right
County,
up there.
exactly. And again, you can't help but think this is kind of the same area, and this, we're not comparing this in any way, shape, form, or fashion to March 2nd, but this is kind of the same area. So I know a lot of folks, I did Relay for Life in Morgan County this year, and I know a lot of folks up there still worry every time you see the possibility of severe weather. So that's why we want to definitely hit home and track these storms for you.
Yeah, one of the good things about this line of storm, I mean, looking at the bright side of things, is this is a much different storm system than what we saw last March. These storms, yes, they will contain some gusty winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, but this is not the type of storm system that produces those very strong, long-lived tornadoes. These are usually isolated spin-ups, and a lot of times you'll see more damage from the straight-line winds than you will from any isolated tornado that we may see. see.
And as we talked about earlier, and you can take some comfort in this, and I don't think, at least knock on wood, fingers crossed, we're going to break this. In the Jackson National Weather Service area, we've never had a confirmed tornado in the month of January. And I know it's hard to believe, but we are still in January. So, again,
sure doesn't feel like it out there.
Doesn't feel like it, but we are still in January, so let's hope that trend continues. But basically, for you folks east of Stanton now in Powell County, it's Stanton, you're clear. It's basically closer to Natural Bridge and those areas along the Mountain Parkway. Campton, you're on the lower edge of this system, back over toward. Yep, I see that. So let me see if I can get that here on radar just a little bit. We've got just a little bit, maybe, of a hook trying to show up here. Let me see if I can get close enough to. We're not seeing it. Let me see if I can get between the levels and see it.
Yeah, and what we're looking at, folks, we're looking at some other radar data behind the scenes here, and we are seeing just a little bit of rotation right there to the northeast of Stanton, between Stanton and Frenchburg, and that's what does have us concerned. That's also what caused the Weather Service to issue that tornado warning. And you can see right there, just to the north of Pilot, west of Slade, that little area where you go from right yellows there down to the greens. Whenever you see a weaker area on the radar within a stronger area, that can be a sign of some problems going on, of maybe a little bit of rotation. Now, once again, usually those aren't very strong rotations, but it is enough to be concerned. So folks around Pilot, Slade, Bowen, heading off to the northeast of there need to be on the lookout and in their safe locations right now. Make sure you're in the basement or the lowest floor of your home, an interior hallway, closet, or bathroom. The big thing is put as many walls between you and the outside world as you can. Stay away from those windows, and if you're in a mobile home, seek a safer, more sturdy structure. Mobile homes, even with a straight line wind of 70 miles per hour, are at risk. Those, if they're not anchored down well, those can get rolled quite easily.
Exactly. We just did the scan there of the different levels like we had showed you before, but we're kind of far away from the Jackson radar site at this point, so that may be why we can't pick up a little bit better. But like you said, we're seeing a little bit of that this morning coming down. But again, no confirmed tornado. Just want to stress that. But we do have reports of, or have the data rather indicating that there is some pretty strong rotation there in Powell County. This is to the west of Slade at this point. That's basically where Natural Bridge is. You see Rogers over there in Wolfe County. You see Frenchburg off to the north there. Wellington, which is both in Menifee County, and some other areas there. But this system pulling to the northeast.
And the Weather Service has trimmed that warning up now. Now it is just for Menifee County.
Okay, good.
That is until 7:45, so we got about another 20 minutes on that. Weather Service radar continuing to indicate a little bit of rotation in the western end of rural Menifee County, and the storm is progressing to the northeast at about 50. So this is a fast-moving storm system, so it's going to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. So folks up around Slade and northeast of there, heading up towards Frenchburg, should definitely be on the lookout for the potential of severe weather. In fact, that's where we're seeing the strongest radar signatures, just to the southwest of Frenchburg right now.
Okay, and at this point, it looks like if this system stays on course, that Rowan County could be the next one in our area affected. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to keep a very close eye on this one, but since Powell County has been allowed to expire, we're going to take a little bit of a break here, get our notes together, and we'll come back with you if we need to. But at this point, keep it locked right here on WYMT, WYMT.com, and our Facebook and Twitter pages for the very latest information on this storm system. Good morning, 7:56. Brandon Robinson inside a very active weather morning here on Mountain News this morning. Let's go to live pinpoint Doppler radar. Things are calming down a little bit, but again, we're not done just yet. Active warnings across the area, but everything at this point is a severe thunderstorm warning. There are several of those, basically all along that squall line from I-64 south. We're seeing those, and those expire here about 20 minutes from now, right around 8:30. So keep that in mind. No active tornado warnings, and just behind that, just rain and lots lots of it. You see all that yellow there indicating some of that heavier bands of rain as we go through into the morning hours. You see the bottom end, the lower end, the south end of that trying to fall apart of that squall line, so that's some good news. And we haven't seen anything really too rough here in the last little bit. Tornado watch continues until 1 o'clock for the areas actually back south, or excuse me, west in the southern parts of Kentucky. Some of that's already been allowed to expire, but all of us here across our area still continues until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Look at these temperatures. You're going to see a big contrast where that cold front is approaching and that rain-cooled air has moved through the area. We're seeing temperatures in Middlesboro at 70 degrees. On the other side of that, back toward Monticello, you're seeing 58 and 57 in Somerset, still 67 though in London and Jackson. So some warm air still floating around, and behind that cold front, you're going to see those temperatures really take a dive. We're not going to be that cold as you see back over into parts of the plains of the Midwest, but we're going to get colder, maybe even some snowflakes in our forecast tonight. Yeah, can't believe it. Tornado warnings this morning, snowflakes tonight. Primary threats remain to be the wind at this point. We're going to continue to track those winds, 60 mile an hour plus possible inside the thunderstorms themselves, and then outside non-storm winds, 40 miles an hour. Wind advisory also continues. The system seems to be dying down a little bit, but isolated tornadoes are still a possibility, and we're seeing that track very quickly across the state as we go into the morning hours. We will keep you posted throughout the morning here on WYMT, WYMT.com, and Facebook and Twitter. We'll check back in with you at 8:25. You're watching Mountain News this morning right here on WYMT. Good morning, 8:25. Brandon Robinson inside of Mountain News this morning. Pouring the rain here in Hazard now. I believe we might have a power outage here in the city. We're on our backup generator here at the station. Had a pretty good gust of wind come through in the last few minutes, and that rain continues across the area. Live pinpoint Doppler radar scanning the skies, and it's still pretty active across the area. Squall lines trying to hold together a little bit, now moving from basically Ashland back into Hazard, down into parts of the border counties right there with Tennessee. Severe thunderstorm warnings up across the line, all the way from one end to the other, so too numerous to mention, but those go for a little while longer this morning. No tornado warnings, that's good news this morning, and the rain just coming down behind it. Did get a wind gust report of 70 miles an hour earlier this morning from a spotter over in Leslie County. So very stout winds. We've had a lot of reports of trees down. We just got a report here in Hazard, maybe some damage to a building. Keeping some checks on that and let you know more as we get more information in. Now, even though the threat has died down a little bit, it's not completely diminished, and to that effect, we have a tornado watch in effect until 1 o'clock this afternoon for the entire area east of I-75, and well, our entire area. West, back off toward Louisville Lakes, that was allowed to expire a little while ago, but our eastern counties into the surrounding states, those folks still included in that for a while longer. Let's talk temperatures this morning. It's very, very warm in some areas, still close to 70 in Middlesboro. I expect that temperature to start dying down here in the next little bit due to the rain moving through those areas. Now 67 Jackson, London, still close to 70 in some locations, back off toward the east, and you see that big temperature swing where that cold front's still rolling through. We're going to continue to see that be a factor for us as we go through time over the next few hours before the system really starts to kind of lose some potency and dies down. Winds are still a big primary threat. We're seeing the possibility for those 60, 70 miles an hour inside the storm cells, and looking at 40 miles an hour plus outside, just regular wind, and that's why we have a wind advisory in effect. Isolated tornadoes still possible, especially in the far eastern counties, but again, I think the threat is dying down just a little bit. Again, don't stop being vigilant at this point. We will definitely keep you posted on those showers. Storms moving at a fast clip, so our timeline kind of out the window at this point. Today, temperatures will drop close to right around the 50-degree mark by afternoon. We still could see some of those storms be severe tonight. Rain and snow showers are possible. Otherwise, cloudy skies down to 29. Very cold as we head toward the end of the week. We're going to see temperatures in the 20s, struggling to get there on Friday after some snow on Thursday night, and temperatures rebound a little bit as we go into the first of next week. We're keeping an eye on the sky this morning. We'll keep you posted. Check back in at 8:55. You're watching Mountain News This Morning.
Sweet and salty nut bars by Nature Valley. Nature at its most delicious. Is your family constantly on the go? Baseball, soccer, cheerleading? At Complete Care Pharmacy, we cater to your fast-paced lifestyle. Drop off your prescription and pick it up in a matter of minutes. Pharmacists Cindy Williams and Lori Johnson will fill your prescriptions quickly and help you get your family back on the road to recovery. When it comes to pharmacy care, go to the ones who treat you like family. Complete Care Pharmacy. Let us take complete care of you and get you back in the game.
Good morning, 8:55. Brandon Robinson inside of Mountain News this morning. A very active start to this Wednesday, and line pinpoint Doppler radar still not completely done just yet. We're still seeing that squall line passing through much of the eastern half of the state now, from basically Wayne County, West Virginia, down through Martin and Floyd counties into parts of Knott County, southern Perry County, all the way down into Bell County. And the system continues to travel east at a pretty good clip. So your thunderstorm warnings out in advance of that system, but behind that, just rain for the most part. Good news is most of the tornado watch out to the west, well, most of it actually, has been allowed to expire. So that's some good news for us today. Several counties are still included, though. We've got all the way from Lawrence County back down through Martin and Johnson, Floyd counties, Pike County, Knott, Perry, and Leslie counties, and also into parts of Bell, Harlan, and Letcher counties. Again, that goes to 1 o'clock. And we're looking at our counties in southern West Virginia, southwest Virginia, and East Tennessee still included as well. Let's talk temperatures this morning. We are looking at a really big contrast across the board in some areas. 70 Middlesboro, they've not moved very much. The rain just now getting to them. 68 Jackson, 63 Wise. Those are areas where it's not rained a whole lot just yet, but down to 57 in London and Monticello, 55 in Somerset, and you see 40s and 50s out west as that cold front continues to progress in our direction going through the latter parts of the day. Now, this system is winding down a little bit, but it's not completely done. We're still seeing some of these thunderstorms that could produce some pretty stout wind and some hail, so keep that in mind. Primary threats at this point continue to be that wind. We've gotten reports of trees down across the region. No reports of any significant damage at that point. We're just going to continue to track this as we go through time, getting some more pictures in now here from some viewers of a few things going on across the area. But the wind, again, the primary threat, could be 60 mile an hour plus. Inside those storms could be up to 40 mile an hour plus outside, and we do have a wind advisory for across the region today because of this system. Continue to track through, see if there's any new reports coming in here this morning. Let's see. Trees down basically across several counties in the area. No reports of any structural damage, at least at this point. So we're going to continue to monitor that here across the area. Now, for the rest of today, things are going to get colder as we progress through time. 66 starting out this morning. We're down already in some locations, mid-50s. That's going to continue to fall to right around 50. Those storms could be severe in spots still, but those should start to wind up here pretty soon. Rain and possibly snow showers tonight, down to 29 tomorrow. Finally clearing out for a little bit more snow chances, though, coming to play tomorrow night. We will continue tracking this weather across the area and update you if we need to. We'll see you back here at 4 and 6, and always the latest on WYMT.com.